right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our another panel discussion. So now let's move on to another discussion. Web3 investment of 2024 new paradigm. So may I invite Kevin Soltani, the founder and CEO at Gimmick Group, to be our moderator. So Kevin, please. And now may I invite our panelist, Kelvin Ng, the general partner at Plutus VC. Kelvin, please. Alfred Shang, the managing partner at B-Rock Capital. Alfred, please. Kelly Pan from Optus Startups. Kelly, please. And also may I invite Cinderella Amar from GP at Glass Ventures' first VC firm. Cinderella, please. All right, welcome you all. So now I will pass the stage to Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. All right, listen, what time is it? 2 o'clock, 2:30? So you're post-lunch, right? You're post-lunch food coma. We're gonna do one thing today. We're gonna bring some energy around a very non-energetic subject of investment world. You want the money, but you never ask where it is, how to get it, and what to do with it. So we're gonna shed some light on some few things. My name is Kevin Soltani. I'm a general partner at Orthogonal Global Group in Canada. We're listed on the Canadian Stock Exchange, cross-listed in Frankfurt, soon to be London, and moving to the NASDAQ in September, where we offer a solution through our portfolio of companies where you can get access into Web3, Web2, traditional or non, a lot of crypto protocols, a lot of blockchain protocols in our portfolio as well, without having to go the complete Web3 route. Now the boomers and the financial advisors can also offer our product. So it's really a global solution. I'm gonna pass it down. We're gonna do some quick intros and get into it.
I'm Kelvin Ng from Plutus VC. We are a venture fund based here in Hong Kong. We do investment, incubation, and acquisition.
My name is Alfred Shang. I'm the founder of B-Rock Capital. We are a venture capital that focuses on fintech and blockchain. So some of our investment in Hong Kong, for example, includes 1Degree. We also have a portfolio company in Europe called Signum Bank, as well as in the UK, which is a crypto exchange, Arches Exchange. So happy to be here.
Hi, I'm Kelly Pang from Orbit Startups. We're early stage startup VC. We invest in early stage startups and we focus on emerging and frontier markets. About 20% of our portfolio is in Web3 and blockchain. Thank you.
Hey there, Cinderella Amar. I'm a GP at Glass Ventures. We're investing heavily in Web4. This might sound new to you guys, so basically it's the new iteration of the web. I'm pretty sure we're going to elaborate going forward, but this is where blockchain and AI got intertwined, and we are basically future-proofing ourselves, buying a hedge against our vintage investment and buying a hedge against the future.
All right, I'm gonna start off because of the geographic location that we're in. I know some of the panelists and I know where in the world we come from, but we are here in Hong Kong. The last time that the WOW Summit was thrown was in Dubai. And I know there's a large presence there as well. I see some of my Dubai friends here. I see some of my Hong Kong, Southeast Asian side friends here. So I think it's a good place to start because these are two of the meccas of blockchain and crypto around the world. You choose a Southeast Asian component in either Hong Kong and Singapore, and you choose a real Middle East component now in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, and the West is the West. It's gone. I want to know from our friends here geographically in Hong Kong and just Asia, and you know what's going on in Dubai, you know what's going on out that way, you see the energy there, but you're still here, you still choose to plant your flag here. Talk about the successes happening in the investment world as far as blockchain and crypto goes in Hong Kong, if you want to start us off.
What's happening in Hong Kong?
Yeah, I think you've seen the energy around the world. Hong Kong still has an energy to it, but everyone's talking about Dubai. Everyone's talking about those type of cities where Hong Kong is still doing fantastic work with the startups, now becoming unicorns even.
So there's a lot of successes in Hong Kong before in the blockchain space and so on. So I believe that Hong Kong will still play a major role in the crypto and blockchain space. But there's a lot of challenges that's coming on board, and there's a lot of new countries like Dubai and Singapore that's trying to capture a slice of this particular cake itself. But I think that in blockchain and crypto play, this is a global play. It does not require where you are. Your customers base, your investors base, everything is global. So it doesn't matter where you are. Even if you set up your headquarters in Timbuktu, you are still a global play.
That's a good answer. And I know because you're the split in half. We have 7 years in Hong Kong and the rest in around the world in Dubai. But you have a perspective on both. I think you know what I mean with a lot of talk in Dubai, but a real solid sophistication here in Hong Kong.
I mean, we tag along, always. What I want to say is that a lot of people miss the memo, which is Hong Kong has been the crypto trading nest, right? All relevant crypto trading firms are born in Hong Kong. At some point, for regulatory reason or this or that, they change headquarters to Singapore, Switzerland, Dubai at some point or whatever, but it's coming back. One thing Hong Kong manages extremely well right now is to look at retail in terms of regulation. Somebody that nobody there looking at, especially when you have the SEC headwinds and this and that in the rest of the world. So this regulatory arbitrage is extremely interesting and put Hong Kong back on the map. Per an investor's perspective as well, I think the whole world in a global, macroeconomy that is what it is, realize that real money sits in this region with educated, sophisticated investors. And this is priceless. When you look now at Dubai, it's quite interesting. There is this hype, FOMO, or reality. This is a different discussion of all. But there is a good play that the region has managed to do is for the very first time attract human capital of talent, right? Like high quality of human capital. So attracted a lot of Hong Kong, Singaporean during the pandemic times that were a bit sick of the conditions being here in quarantine and this and that, managed to attract them to Dubai and so on. So we see a lot of connection between Middle East and Asia right now with a lot of dynamic going on. It's super interesting to watch. There's good things in both camps, right? But as Hong Kong is still my home, I'm very happy and very bullish on the fact that I see it coming back, and I can't wait to see the rest of it.
Look, I agree 100%. This is a global game. But there's not a lot of global players participating in this game. Why I say that is you got to look to regulations if you want to talk about tokenization. The hottest word of 2023, 22 was NFTs, these 3 letters. The next hottest thing are another 3 letters and RWAs, and no one knows what the hell is going on. It's a security. It's a very sophisticated product. Very few governments have laid out framework for it, so I want to go back to the Hong Kongs and the Dubais because they've stuck their neck out and they've done a lot of regulatory framework so that there's at least a framework to go off of. When you're talking about tokenization and this new buzzword, it's out of my hands. If I want the title deed of my house to go on the blockchain, the government needs to do that, right? The central bank needs to talk with the land department to put that on. So we're seeing sophistication happening in the Southeast Asian regions in Dubai. But what's your thoughts on tokenization and the investments going into that realm right now?
Actually, I think it ties into what Cinderella just said about regulation. I think tokenization is really, wrapping things up in another way. We've done it before in the, banking investment world. You look at REITs, you look at structured products. It's all pretty much the same concept, formed by underlying, the concept of contract and having the contract mentalities, structuring the contracts in a way which allows you to, have some recourse when things go the other way. And regulation definitely helps to give people the confidence to buy into those products because they are very complex. And, you know, when you buy stuff, when you sign up to iTunes or some service or an app, you're not going to read all the service agreement. Okay, it's even.
But those aren't securities, right?
No. But
These are.
But it's even worse when it's securities.
right.
It's also like the documentation. Even if you get a lawyer, they might not understand what's going on. So therefore, I think regulation is really important in structuring. You know, what's kind of the laying down the playbook, what's allowed, what's not allowed, how to protect retail investors, because I think with the, you know, like you said, Hong Kong, you know, with regulating the crypto exchanges, you know, allowing them to operate within, you know, the law, I think really helps to bring in more confidence from the retail investors, and that really will bring in a lot more people into the Web3 space. So I think regulation is key.
Look, and I would love to hear your thoughts about tokenization as well, but to add that, we're all here because of crypto being decentralized and all the great things of anonymity and borderless. But let's be very honest with ourselves. Fortune 100, Fortune 10 companies, there's not a single thing close to decentralization about them, let alone if they want to come into our game, use our technology, use our payments, remittance service, security. We have to have a regulatory framework around what we're doing here, or else how are we going to create future Fortune 100, 500 companies that are going to be listed on stock exchanges around the world that require full audits, full background, coding, everything. And we just can't say that right now in our industry. Let's be honest about that. But thoughts on tokenization and regulation?
Because the topic of the panel is more about investment themes, and tying the question back to where do we put our money. A key theme for us is on mainstream adoption. I think it's to some extent related to what you mentioned, but at the current stage, crypto penetration is still very low, right? It's about 1.5 trillion US, depending on the days you look at it. Mainstream finance is, you know, roughly 400-500 trillion US. And even if you compare it with gold or even silver, you're still at a very low level of penetration. So for us, as a VC, the key theme is still about mainstream adoption. How do commercial banks, insurance, wealth management, Fortune 500 corporates, how do they adopt crypto? Crypto in the form of maybe a DeFi product, maybe a STO, maybe a ETF, maybe a Bitcoin. So for us, we focus on the underlying technology and the infrastructure that's going to accelerate that speed of adoption by mainstream finance. Now, I think regulations and compliance is important, but to be honest, regulation always kind of, there's a delay in regulations. So for us, when we conduct due diligence on a product or on a project, the key priority is still whether the project, the company is differentiated by its technology, is it creating something new, rather than just copycat something that's existing, or just kind of putting a tokenization umbrella on top of something that's already quite efficient. And it needs to be consistent with what regulators and what a compliance officer might be thinking about, as opposed to, we don't want to be kind of waiting too long for the whole regulatory environment to be 100% mature until we make investments. So that's, I think, how we are thinking about investment.
So I'd like to add, tokenization, our whole entire crypto industry started unregulated, unlicensed. That's why we are so huge today. And that's why we have new millionaires, new billionaires that's literally tap onto this entire gray area of the whole market. But, you know, we are being run by cowboys. We are in the Wild West still today. There's no regulations. You can launch anything you want. You can challenge the banks. You know, you can offer lending without a license. And tomorrow you can rug pull and say, sorry, you know, I lost all your money.
Go to Bahamas.
Yeah, I am moved to Bahamas and then get extradited back to the US, right? So, but the days of the Wild West is numbered. Regulations is coming. The law is coming, as we can all see. Binance paid billions and so on. But I will still see that this market in the next 5 years are going to change, starting from this year, 2024. But the Wild West will always be around.
I love that. I quite love exactly what you said, because you realize how we got here was because of the non-regulated framework. But to go to where we want to be, it's unbeknownst to us that the regulatory frameworks are coming, and they can help. I try not to stand in front of the moving train. You try to move away and see if you can hold on, and that's exactly what's going to happen with CBDCs. Whether you like it or not, certain countries are going to adopt digital currencies. What are you going to do about it? That's my question to our clients, investors. What are you going to do about it? You want to keep throwing stones at a glass? Fine. You're not going to make any money doing anything. So I agree with the Wild Wild West example. Cinderella, I wanted to pass it here because I know you're raising, and I know we're all raising. The two things in crypto that make the world go round are partnerships and fundraising. And I know that's just like Wall Street, but if you don't consistently do both of those, you're a non-factor. And who does those better than us is the bad companies and eggs, but we don't want to talk about them. When you're raising capital and we're investing in these products, now you're really kind of looking with an eye of, has this person got the right licenses? Has this person gone through all of, crossed the dots, the T's and dotted the I's? Especially in these two countries that I'm, thinking about. If you're an exchange and you haven't even applied to certain regulatory bodies, that's wild. If you have a stable coin attached to your exchange and you're not fully regulated, that's a problem. Do you look at these things right now, especially this buzzword of tokenization? These are highly sophisticated securities products.
So if I look at history, right? Let's say 4 or 5 years ago, there is, I won't say name, X exchange looking at being regulated first. We know one in Hong Kong, for example, right? Guess what? Great, you get the stamp, you're kosher, halal, you name it. Phenomenal. Guess what? No volumes, because you can trade 5 tokens. Great, right? Then you look at the like of the big guys in the street, right? That make big volumes and so on. They didn't go and ask mommy permission if they could do Wild West, right? And they started to go big, right? In numbers, volumes. And eventually they knock at the door and they say, okay, no, we're cool. Now we can come clean, right? Now we can talk because the POC is there and so on and so on. So there is a fair, assessment to look at when you look at regulation. And I come from the old world, right? I've been, capital markets. I've been through, different rodeos over the years. But when you think about it, regulation can actually kill the eggs in the nest from starting. It kills imagination, creativity, and so on. But at some point, as you rightly said, and story has shown us over the last year, we still need that regulation. We still need the best practices coming from the old world, right? So there is just a balance, and we need to be able to tilt that balance to find what is the sweet spot. But starting day zero with regulation, for now, it showed not to be, a proven creation of wealth coming from that, right? It's
Off the back of that, continue, because you mentioned something Web4. Give me a 30-second what the audience can take home from what you mean by Web4, and I gotta believe it's gonna need to be regulated because you've already passed us in 3 and going to 4, so you're gonna be Aggie pretty soon, by yourself. So explain what you meant by Web4 in your investment thesis.
Yeah, so maybe a concrete example, very simple. So you can click, you don't know ChatGPT exists, the day you met him is your best friend. Any single company or startup that we label with the fund, Web4, if I come in with my private individual capacity, basically no one, I see that startup, that product, and I'm like, oh my God, this is disruptive, I want in. I see mass adoption, I see the dollars. As opposed to when I look into Web3 startups, and I need to look at, okay, what is the total addressable market? What's the product fit? What's the go-to-market strategy? The capacity of the founder to lead the way to execution and to drive a launch, attract a community, right? Give me a break. There is a lot of what if, right? What if I put Paris in a bottle? When I look at people coming to the market and be like, I create a product fit, it felt like when Steve Jobs 20 years ago went on stage in Palo Alto and said, we all equipped with this, and right now we're gonna do video calling. Guess what? Everybody was like, I don't want to see your face at 2 a.m. in the morning, and for a lady, I don't want to put makeup, right? I mean, I'm sorry. Guess what? 20 years later, who does, and in the audience, you can tell me, who does a phone call? We mostly video call. That's it, right? And he came in creating a product fit, right? So the beauty of what I see in Web4 is the intertwinement between blockchain, AI, it's basically the era of the data, and we own that data. It makes our brain a superpower and so on. But the thing is that it also helped to get this mainstream adoption you mentioned before, to get like the adoption of the Web3 and the other generations coming up. So that's the beauty of it. So it's basically going from a semantic web to a symbiotic web. It's a one-stop shop, right? And that's the way I value it. It's peer-to-peer, decentralized, powered by artificial intelligence on steroid with quantum computing going forward, to make it simple.
So if you're building anything in Web 4 or have passed us in Web 3, you know who to talk to. We met 6 months ago on stage, and she said Web 4, and I just kind of freaked out for 20 minutes, and we had a great conversation. On the back of that, quickly running it this way, starting with you, we have a lot of money sitting on the sidelines still, as far as blockchain investments go. We have a lot of money sitting on the sidelines, period, after COVID, with quantitative easing of different countries, quick, cheap money in America and around the West. But where are you putting your money currently, quickly? And I'll start just to give you an example. I like the quantum. I think the quantum proof protocols are next. I think quantum is going to have its day before the year is done, and I think it's necessary. So where are you putting your money currently? We're going to start with you, yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, we have 20% of our portfolio in Web3 and crypto. When we look at projects, technology is one thing behind the scene. We're looking at solving a real-world problem. We're in frontier, markets. So, for example, and we continue to look for solutions like this is, let's say we have an insurance company. Typically insurance companies require a lot of money, big organizations, a lot of paperwork in order to create these contracts, de-risk themselves, let the people putting their money into the liquidity pool earn some money, and people get payout and they're protected, all that stuff. But there's a huge cost, administrative cost to it, which means everyday people, retail investors, cannot, re-up the benefits of investing in these insurance products, and people aren't able to do what we call like very micro insurances. So we have a startup we invested in a couple of years ago called Insuro, and some of the projects they do are working with airline companies, airline ticketing. So if you cancel your trip on your own accord, if you bought an insurance for it, you can get refund or partial or the whole amount. And these micro contracts, the big insurance company is not interested in it because of the overhead admin. But because of smart contracts, the transparency, and also being able to pool a lot of different coins together in the liquidity pool, we are able to make that happen on that scale. Another real world problem we face in Africa, which we're investing a lot into, is their currencies fluctuate like mad. Like a lot of us live in, using USD, Euro, Hong Kong dollars. We don't understand what it's like to live in those countries where today I can buy rice, tomorrow I'm starving because I can't buy enough food for my family. So crypto actually provides them with some stability, despite what people think about crypto. It is relatively stable compared to some of those currencies, and also to enable them to do a lot of cross-border transactions between the different countries in Africa. So we see it as, taking advantage of the DeFi nature, taking advantage of the transparency, the fact that, it's there, everybody can really easily tap into it. And also, we are taking advantage a little bit of the fact that it is not regulated in places like Africa, to able to do these transactions more efficiently at lower costs for the people. And that's how we look at Web3 and crypto and blockchain investments.
How about you? Where are you putting your money?
So as I mentioned earlier, our key thesis is our mainstream adoption. So we focus on startups that are building the infrastructure and the technology to promote that adoption. We do look at both mature markets like Hong Kong, London, and US, and also emerging markets. We focus on some of the use cases in emerging markets like payments, remittance, that are crypto, stablecoin enabled. We also look at B2B, money transfer, as well as some of the license exchanges and OTCs in other markets. We continue to look at Hong Kong opportunities. Just want to mention that, and we think that the overall regulatory environment is favorable, is moving toward the right directions, and the ecosystem locally now in Hong Kong is starting to come together. So we continue to be positive on the development.
I gotta say, because the two Hong Kong guys, the reason why I keep going Hong Kong, Dubai, Hong Kong, I'm American, living in Dubai for 8 years. Guess where I'm moving out of and coming to? So I'm coming this way, right? So I'm very interested. That's why I wanted to focus on that, but thank you for that. Where are you putting your money?
So now this is different from all the rest. We're putting 80% onto the top coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the top 10 coins. And from the profits that we will generate, we bet it on all the other new project coins. That's what we're going to do.
I think that's a fine example of a smart strategy in a bull or bear market if you're a crypto investor. And last question, quickly down the road. All right, I get a lot of slack for this because I see some friends in the audience, so we're going to get some eyebrows raised. The metaverse is dead. Gaming is coming back. AI has arrived, and Bitcoin is still king. I'm going to bet on Bitcoin-backed projects, marketplaces, as my go-to of all of those. Gaming, AI, tokenization, a buzzword where you want people to spend more time focusing and building.
Well, short term, any projects that has huge communities, we don't bother about what you do, but crypto is all about fan base. If you can become a KOL or you can become the icon of anything, the crypto can pump. So that's where we feel that that should be the focus, right?
Community.
For us, it's really not the buzzwords. I think for us, it's about using blockchain and AI and all the stuff you mentioned to solve some real-world problems, focusing on the medium long-term value creation. So that's how we look at it.
No, I like it, but a buzzword there, realistically, is tokenization, right? Everyone's trying to tokenize something. Real estate is the most exciting. And I go back to a couple questions ago. You said something about that, but imagine if you can just solve one minor problem in the tokenization of real estate. It's a multi-trillion-dollar problem you're solving. So not a bad way to focus, right? So what you're saying is maybe not the buzzwords, but we still got to solve these things.
Sure.
RWA. RWA, real world.
Oh, there you go. See, I told you.
Yeah, I like the idea about the sports and the fan base, and one of the projects we are working on is actually helping more traditional sports teams, like basketball teams, leagues, to actually capture the new younger generation of audience. They're not going to games physically. They're not watching 3-hour live games. But we're trying to make use of the Web3 to really connect them and engage them and make them come back and support their teams and their fans. And we think Web3 is a great place to do that. So,
well, we have someone that's going to go to Web 4 and give us your final thoughts on.
No, if you want a buzzword, it's going to be 1000 of X. Because at the end of the day, this is an investor panel in Hong Kong. And as you know, how do you say Happy New Year? Hong Kong Fat Choy, may you get rich.
I hope you get rich.
May you get rich. So at the end of the day, you're looking at a space where you can accelerate the creation of wealth. And I believe we are a believer in this. And this is what we're doing too, right? Yeah.
I appreciate your time. Do connect with everybody on the panel. These people have been around the industry a long time. I'm learning from you. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And please remain on stage and let's have a photo first.